ababukeli ba Eswatini TV lokubilela kona namuhla ngoyembali wakasimelane umnguni Mpembe Ndlebe Zemchawane, and this is Mind Over Matter, a platform where we talk about issues esihlangabezana nawo umbukeli on a daily basis. Ekugcineni kwako konke umbukeli sifuna kusitana sibambisane kanye and have a better future. Today on the show, I'm not doing it alone as usual. I'm doing it with an amazing person. I'm talking about Zanele Dlamini, our clinical psychologist. It's the neurodevelopment disorder, and it also has to do with the behavioral implication. Zanele, welcome.
Thank you for welcoming me, Bali.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be talking about mental health. It's a widely talked about topic, and to have professionals, give facts about this. We really appreciate giving us this opportunity to join you guys.
Yes, we're talking about the neurodevelopment the implications of behavioral. Can you just go on that? Neurodevelopment disorders,
Okay.
so that we can have a clear picture.
Okay. So when we talk about neurodevelopmental disorders, these are the disorders that are diagnosed in early childhood, adolescence.
Yes.
So lawa disorders that they affect how the brain works, the brain function, and then they will also alter in neurological development. Is akula.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are talking about your autism, sikhuluma ngabo ADHD, your attention deficit stroke hyperactivity disorder, sikhuluma ngabo cerebral palsy, sikhuluma ngabo intellectual disability, umfana nakastrugglisha esikolweni because maybe ingqondo yakhe ayikho bamba like other kids.
Yes.
So ngithi important ba affecta kakhulu kulo early childhood. So those are the neurodevelopmental disorders because the neurological development of their brain has been altered.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Zanele, now that you're talking about umfana ukuthi esikoleni uhlangabambi kahle, ngoba bese siyabalelisha. So I'm shocked ukuthi that's not the case. Ngoba lo mnye umva athi uyavilapha awufunzi ngani, so khohliwe kanjalo awufuni ukudadisha. So it's not actually ukuthi bayavilapha labanye, it's a disorder.
It's a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Ngicela ukucacisa sis, it's not a disease.
It's a disorder.
It's a disorder.
Yes.
It's just how their brain is uniquely, created, because ngeke sonke sifanane uyabona, so khanze ukuthi le yabo iaffecteke ku the neurological aspect, hence sawubona tinkinga letiningi tivela kulabo behavior, kulabo intellect, things that have to do with school and all the likes.
Yeah. So simbona njani ekuqaleni njengoba usho ukuthi kufanele sibone kuma early stages ebantwana, but how do you see that ukuthi lo wami hayi ukuthi uyavilapha, hayi ukuthi akafuni ukufunda, but this is the situation, this is the disorder.
So I'm happy say leti khatstanyalo, there's been a lot of awareness. So now I'm assuming most people are more aware. So how these things happen, autism is diagnosed in the first 3 years. We are born. So lapho kuba nabo speech delay, kube nabo communication and sensory overload. Nje khanza umfana umsindvo nje uyam-irritate, umfana wenta like repetitive movements nje uyabona, ukhanza umfana nje understand uphekubhenga nje the walls or any surfaces. So these things we actually encourage ukuthi nabaya labamfana for their prenatal, those checkups. Uyabona ngisho nje umfana nakasemncane, qala aye 7 weeks, aye in siyasho sithi ningagcini kubayisa kulabo nurse, take them to your pediatrician, take them to the doctors. They will be able to check with you ukuthi okay lo mfana wakho lona milestones akhe uwamitha kahle yini, uyabona sis, because when they're able to catch these things bakutshela ukuthi hayi man asesibone ukuthi wenda kanje. Let's say okay, because some kids maybe let's say they will have a speech delay, it doesn't mean ukuthi they are autistic.
Oh, is it? Not all the time?
Not all the time. Okay. Sometimes it can be just a speech, delay disorder. Just because unengenga speech lomfana, not because of autistic. So, but doctor was, oh, okay. Asasimbona do these things to try and stimulate your bona and on so that. But because cluster yalama symptoms that they look at, oh okay, umfana speech sakhe uyabona, let's say communication, umfana struggles to establish a connection with other people, kanze also connect namakwakhe kuphela, but with other people nothing, because there's things that we expect from kids. Okay, they're able to co-play with other children. But
Yes.
if lo mfana wakho upheka ufuna kudlala yedvana nje yena, and there's a distinctive toy
Yeah.
that ufuna kupheka kudlala ngayo, uyayibona le mfundo
Yes.
kanjalo. So those are the things that the doctors will ask you, and then through those things, then they will be able to say, oh, okay, it seems here we are dealing with a, an autistic disorder. However, sis, I want you to know ukuthi nabo bonke babukela emakhaya ukuthi it's a spectrum. I-autism angeke imanifeste ngekufana.
Oh, yeah.
Some children it will be severe.
Immediately it will be just severe.
Yes, it will be severe nje. Kind of maybe nala physically nje they don't look like other people.
Yes,
Uyaybo.
yes.
But then bakhona nalala labanye kind of they are autistic, they have the autistic traits, but they can do normal things as normal people do. They can go
Yes.
to mainstream schools. Maybe kind of taw struggle maybe interaction uyaybo le mfole
Yes.
kanjalo. Kind of somebody maybe na shy, so we want people to understand ukuthi it's a spectrum. Angeke afanane onke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking about kungafanani, I know we touched nalenzabe ukuthi umfana nentombatane akufanani, but because we're going to an ad break, I want us to dwell on that nasibuya so that we talk about it properly. Ukuthi umehluko between boys and girls ngumuphi nokuthi kwenziwa yini ukuthi bafana bahluke kunamantombazane when it comes to the disorder. Mbukeli, you are still watching Mind Over Matter naye Zanele wakadlamini, our clinical psychologist. Sikhulumisa indaba lokucwa kakhulu Mbukeli ye-development ne-disorder yokuthi kumxokwa ukuthi Mbukeli nawe ubuke ama-symptoms lakhona so you can help your kids or also help around where you are. Please don't go anywhere. A lot is still coming just after this ad break. Welcome back. You are watching Mind Over Matter. Mbukeli sikhulumisa indaba lemcoka namuhla lokuhle ukuthi we have an expert ngikhuluma ngaye Zanele wakadlamini, a clinical psychologist lo sitako Mbukeli ngalendzaba lesikhulumisako namuhla. Before we went for an ad break, Zanele sikhulumisa indaba ukuthi kuhlukile akufanani boys and girls le disorder aba react noma ke the implications are not the same. Can you tell us why? Kuyentwa yini ukuthi bafana bona mhlambe kwabo kube njena nabamfana bekaswa?
Okay, so scientists or angithi general statistics that we have, athi lama disorders lawa are more prevalent in boys than girls. Okay. But again, with more research, it has been understood that girls equally they have that disorder. Sekuthi with girls, ukhanza ukuthi iyamaskeka le disorder because boys are always encouraged to be out there and be boys. They can play. They can just do everything. But as a girl, angithi wena kufuna uhlale ube right, be a lady, you have a certain behavioral etiquette. So those societal, expectations or societal roles, ayayimaska le disorder. Khanza ukuthi stawuthi I know shy, she's just well behaved, uyabona kanti so khanza nje ukuthi umfana naye unalama social issues because they are not as encouraged as boys to be out there. So even with girls ikhona, it's not just only boy children who experience these things because boys they like the thrill, reckless activities. We are hyperactive, too much energy, so we are able to easily cluster them into that disorder. But girls, that's why you see, so it's those kind of things that have altered, in the girls. It has been a contributing factor.
Yeah, still on that part, umntali wenda njani when we talk about stigma now, because lo munye uyalifuna lisito, but uva ngazuthi how am I going to do this, because the moment they see a child with this disorder now uyasaba na sometimes labanye abahambi nabo edolobheni or wherever because they feel like how do you help the parents to deal nenzaba lefana njengale when it comes to stigma?
First of all, I would like to validate labatali ukuthi it's not easy to have umfana lo kanje. You understand, Sisi? Because let's say you have a hyperactive child. Nyalo ngaso ugijima yonke lendzawo so uwise konke tinfo lana uyabona utokumuca tibuko takho and isikhathi lesiningi I'll bring it back into the African context here in Eswatini. Sithi uyethelela lo mfana lona kamkhudi makwakhe, you see. So there are those nuances that, you know, will put the blame kumake kanti there is nothing Mage can do.
Yes.
So in that case, Mage needs the help of a specialist. We have occupational therapists, we have psychologists, we have bodokotela. It's a multidisciplinary team. Mage can't do it alone. But also what we do is we also help Mage because lo mfana utangibona mina for that hour.
Yes.
Ambona dokotela for that 30 minutes. But isikhathi esiningi uspenda le ekhaya. So we have to educate the community on how to be accepting of these kids because we label them as abnormal kids when they are not abnormal. Why do we say they're abnormal? That is just how their brain is. That is how they were created, you know, in their uniqueness. So it's a matter of kuti see shape, you know, a perception of the community. Kuti na bonje they are humans like us. Na ubaphelele njengase kuti ingqondo yabo timvo itenda in a different way. That's why it's a disorder. It is not a disease.
Yeah, talking about disorder, kuna autism, pinza kuna laba hyperactive.
Yes.
I think it's ADHD.
ADHD,
right?
yes.
Can you just break down a bit that part? Umehluko wawo kungithuna lokuthi umbona njani ukuthi cha lo wami une autism noma lo wami une ADHD.
Okay, so ADHD ipinza ibe one of the, you know, traits that we look for when we diagnose the autism.
Yes.
We are born.
Right.
So umfana lone autism, they can have a comorbid disorder with ADHD, but ADHD I can find autism.
Okay.
So with the autism, as I said, lana umfana uba nema issues go socialization. You know, they're not able to establish, you know, connections with other people.
Yes.
And then we also have a speech issue. We are born, let's say, undiagnosed, you know, you speak out of turn. You know, there's certain social etiquette, but autistic between me and you, I'd say, you know,
exactly.
because social cues are work. There's certain ways that you address age. Okay. And then also we spoke about sensory overload. Usually they don't like sounds and all of those things, and then they also can be hyperactive.
Yes.
Tantrums in maybe ufuna this class and then I say no. Scream pass.
Yes.
We are so that is the autism. And then the ADHD, it's attention deficit stroke hyperactivity disorder. So if you ADHD, there's the inattentive part, which usually we address, and then there's the hyperactivity part, impulsivity. Uyambona nje lo mfana like that we class and uhluphala abanye abamfana lona. So uthanda ukudlala uyayibona mfana thishela uyafundisa umfana so usukumile yena so ujikela abanye abamfana ngema eraser uyayibona mfana kanjalo. However, there is the inattentive part. The one that's okay, it struggles with communication and with concentration when it comes to ADHD. That is concentration and focus. So the inattentive one, you procrastinate. There's a lot of procrastination. You know what's okay, I have to do this thing, but you don't have the will to. Let's say in adults, you know, 17 we have deadlines. You know, night deadline, but you don't have the will to, not because our phone or you don't respect your job, but because the will is not there. There's an employee who always misses deadlines. Not because akafuni, but because lengomvo ayimbambisi.
But zanele usuke adi yena ukuthi unale disorder.
No.
Noma uyaphusha na utibona angumuntu longafuni ukuphusha umsebenzi.
You know, it's very difficult because as we talked, these are things that have been undiagnosed. So you grow up thinking, you know, I work well under pressure. You know, regrets. You know what? If I had done this on time, I would have delivered, you know, a much better product than Loloku saying, and it causes a lot of anxiety as well. You know, because it's like and then it all becomes overwhelming. You know, you find people you know, they will also be, you know, reckless and you find that they love speeding as well. So those are the things that okay, because you know what you struggle with, you know, you know, you have to just reflect. You know what, even in high school, I struggled. Even in varsity, I struggled. Khanze ukuthi wena you have to work 2 times more than because le ngqondo vele ayikubambisi. So, you know, umuntu uyatati. So just we also want to normalize ukuthi ungayi psychologist because so nenkinga so ne trauma, you know. Come through. Let's talk about these daily struggles and then you'll be able to learn a thing or two about yourself, you know. Singathi ukuthi psychiatrist uya ngoba because so severe mental illness. Go in there, you know, have a profile about your own mental health profile. Oh, okay, this is how I am, you know. This my levels of anxiety are kanjena. So, you know, we want to normalize as well, you know, in Lama services. Be inclusive, exactly.
Yeah, Zanele, thank you for that. We're just going to go for a quick one. Bugeli, we're going to go for an ad break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a lot of things, so make sure that you don't dial up. Welcome back. This is Mind Over Matter. Namhlanje naye Zanele Dlamini Bugela, our clinical psychologist. Sikhulumisa tindzaba letimcoka kakhulu Bugela, tindzaba letifaka timo lesibhekana nato on a daily basis. I'm talking about real life issues. Zanele, njengoba namhla sikhulumisa lama disorder lafaka ekhatsi autism. I know lokuthi even the kids themselves bahlangabezana netingqinamba challenges. Can we just talk about those challenges that they face now on a daily basis? As we are talking about inclusive.
Yeah. So, maning lama challenges let's say in autistic kids, you know, the disconnect we are born from other people. It's not because now maybe they like it, but it's because they don't know how to. Their brain is not wired because, you know, as humans we're social beings. You know, that's why we're born into families, we're born, and then those families are into communities. You're able to So the struggle, because wena wadlala wena uyabo awufuni ukudlala nalabanye bamfana. Then no, that's just how the person is. They don't know how to. Sometimes you find that they try to push themselves, but then they will struggle because lo muntu lona, remember, also struggling with communication. You know, they are a group of friends and then bayakhuluma. And then, you know, they'll just say something different out of turn. And then they are mocked at and then they are laughed at. And then, depression because, but I'm trying. But also I'm being rejected because whenever I try, we are able to. So those are the challenges as well. And maybe we take them out, say like, you know, because I also spoke about sensory overload. Maybe it's light, we are born affect her, so they have to, you know, go through that, you know, frustration. They would say, you know, no one understands them. We're like, kuna inande light, we are both. But I'm frustrated. Hence, because I mean, I 10 times, not because I 10 times, they are communicating. I'm frustrated. So it's a matter of, you know, as parents, we get the social cues and try and understand what is frustrating because the 10 times, we are express, you know what, this is just too much for me. You know, so what we do, we try and also teach the parents how to better understand because we are communicating, but we are communicating absolutely.
Yeah, talking about teaching now, we know this. Our kids go to school, probably. We're not yet sure what's autism no ADHD. And then the next thing nathi challenges or those teachers that go through that.
But Tishela, I think they need more training, to be trained more about, you know, lama disorders so that now they are able to pick, you know, a certain of these things because you know,
they spend most of the days there.
Yes, and I would actually encourage you know, give parents, you know, a feedback and then, you know, as oh, okay, actually I've noticed that because remember I said the intervention, it's multidisciplinary. It's a team. That's why we say it takes a village.
Yeah, it does.
You know, because as parents, we might miss certain things because you know how emotionally attached we get to our children. And some parents, you know, let's say some you know, they give them the nudge because I think there's something wrong with, you know, your child.
Yes.
Most times they get defensive. You know, because no
Exactly.
parent wants to know ukuthi there's something wrong with
my
their
child,
child.
yeah.
Uyayibona mfowethu kanjalo.
Yes,
So
true.
ngaloko ukuthi lo muntu lomunye u-objective utokhona na ukuthi hayi man ngase le behavior leya it's a bit out of the norm. Uyayibona
Yeah.
mfowethu kanjalo. So I think more than anything parents shouldn't take it as an attack on them or their kids, but just, you know, listen and then see if there is something there. That's why I said, because if there's something leba khona, or you just take them to the doctor.
Yeah.
And let the professionals come up with the diagnosis, because also one thing that has been happening of late, we are so casual with, you know, people are so casual ngaloku diagnose labamfu, you
Yeah,
know.
very true.
That I actually encourage, because let's leave that to the professionals.
To do the diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Talking about that, khona yini labangakusebenzisa ngikhuluma ngama medication mhlambe lo munye is watching at home yadubuda ukuthi ngabe yini khona yini medication angayisebenzisa ukuthi kuphele noma ke mhlambe kube ngcono or whatever. The situation
Remember, we said these are disorders.
Yes.
Okay. So illnesses. So
Yes.
in children with the ADHD, the hyperactive kids, we are both very impulsive. Those ones, they can be managed about Ritalin, which helps with the concentration and the focus. Abe contained, a task and see it to end, because their brain, I call look patient to complete a task. Because date, I'll say after that. So those meds happen, I mean, they help with that aspect. Particularly about autism, there is no medication for autism.
Yes.
However, let's say if umfana later on develops, you know, like both depression or both anxiety because of that condition, that's when now a psychiatrist or a pediatrician can now, you know, help them with pharmacotherapy.
Yes, I think in Emavi nje ekhuthata lababukele parents that have kids labanawo ama disorder ngapha Emavi lo ngabakhuthata as a psychologist.
Okay. I think more than anything, Siswami, I would preach acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance from parents, because they didn't ask to be the way that they are.
Yes.
And okay, now autism, there's nothing you can do to change that situation. It's just for parents to actually understand, to learn more about the condition of nayo, and then, lean on support as well.
Yeah.
Talk to a friend, talk to a colleague, talk to us, even us as professionals, for emotional support.
Yeah, true.
Because it is also frustrating. These are normal kids. They are just unique, in terms of how their brain functions.
Yeah.
So more than anything, acceptance. We'll try to a point of accepting their children for who and what they are.
Yes, but it's the education going around to let or rather make the awareness so that people are aware of elama disorder and know ukuthi nakanjena don't treat the child like this because of this disorder. They are normal. Njibe usho ukuthi sipusha inclusive.
Absolutely.
Yes. What can we do so that everyone can get the information and gets to help, even the parents? Sometimes njibe usho ukuthi emotional support yadzingeka.
I think these are conversations that we don't talk about, because if there's shame, around a certain topic, we tend to be evasive or say avoid it, but there's no shame here. I think having more of these kinds of conversations, it will create the awareness, because sometimes it's the ignorance from some parents or some people. But the more we talk about these things, we need to preach. And that way, Bamford, they will know, and then I believe they will do better.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Zanele, thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was Zanele Dlamini, our clinical psychologist. Disorder. Actually, it's not an illness, it's a disorder. And it's very important for us to change our language when we are talking about this, because as it's very important to learn and know more about these disorders. From me, Mbali Wakasimilane, and the rest of the team, Sincere and God bless you.